Welcome, everybody, to this month's WITI AI analytics session. Very excited to have Alexis Yushin here to share all the amazing things that he's doing to use AI as his tech team. We're going to learn a lot. Things are moving very fast for everybody that's following this feed or participates in this community. So I'm not going to take up any more time. Alexis, over to you.
Thank you very much, David. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here. Today, I would like to talk about software development using AI. And before we start, I would like to get a little bit of an understanding of the audience that we have today. So please raise your digital hand if you have ever written any code at all, any little program. So how many technical people do we have? Oh, okay. So that's quite a few. Um, so in today's talk and today's session, I would like to show you how I use AI practically to build software that is used in real world applications, right? Not just some example or some trial, but actual software. And also to give you an idea how it actually works, maybe we'll be discovering um, to see some scenarios where you can use AI to build software for you when it's possible, what is not possible today, and what is going to be possible in the near future. A little bit of a background. I'm founder of Apexive.com. Apexive.com, up until the spring, used to be a rapid software development agency. What we would do, we would build software mostly for startups, but also for small and medium businesses in weeks instead of months and sometimes years, because the thinking was that with the modern technology and the modern frameworks and using the correct patterns, you actually don't need to spend don't need to reinvent the wheel and spend countless hours in order to build some software, because you can reuse a lot of things. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what this rapid software development means. I've been programming since I was 12 years old. I was one of the internet pioneers in the Ukraine. So I brought internet to Ukraine in 1995 or six. And then I continued working in the internet industry in the Netherlands. Been through bunch of startups as an architect and the CTO, had a sabbatical as an airline pilot for 10 years, and then made a whole circle back to building software about 5 years ago. And the reason I came back to building software, because after being 10 years in the airlines, I looked at the technologies that were available 5 years ago already. And I just realized that there was suddenly this potential to build things, big things, really rapidly with in a very short amount of time with a little resources. So, for example, back in the day, I was thinking, wow, with this new framework, something that would take me a team of 20 people and a year to build some few years ago. Now I can build with a team of 3 or 5 in just a couple of weeks. And I was also very surprised that very little software companies were actually doing that, because I saw that back then, 4 years ago, and I think still, a lot of IT companies, a lot of what we say, competition, we're very happy with this status quo when they would sell you huge amount of hours, use this countless number of hours to build a software that is half working, lock you in, and continue charging you hours to solve bugs. And every time, every company would start by reinventing the wheel and selling this BS, saying that, well, it's better if you build everything from scratch because then you will own the IP because we know that it's high quality. And for me, the biggest red flag with any software provider or UI UX company is when you come to them and you ask them to build a software, and the first thing that they want to build or to draw or to design is a login screen. And I was always thinking, like, why all the login screens, all the logins, that it's the same. It has to be a ready component. You don't need to design it. You don't need to build it. And, sometimes you would take like 2 weeks to build a login screen. So we decided to disrupt that, and we've been we developed a set of techniques how to build software rapidly without reinventing the wheel, with reusing the code that we've built this login component once, and then we have reused for all of our customers, right? And we don't have to waste time if we don't have to charge customers for doing the same thing over and over again. So that's where we started, and it was going really well until spring this year, where um, the AI, obviously we had to embrace it. We saw that the models were able to code. And I started playing with, I've been playing with ChatGPT and open source models for quite a while. But my experience, like everybody else, was that, well, it's just not there. It's not good enough. It can produce some code, but this code is not actually usable in production. And you might be spending double amount of time of prompting the ChatGPT trying to build something for you, and every time it would get sidetracked and you would have to start initial. So basically it was not working. And then suddenly Claude Sonnet 3.5 came to the market. And I tried that. There two things happened. It had artifacts and it had a project knowledge. And in my mind, that was what was always necessary in order to create code. You need to have to be able to give the model a context with which to work, which is the project knowledge. So upload your code into the model, and then based on that context, the model would produce the code. And it just worked, right? So I was just uploading my code to Claude. It was in March this year, and I was asking it to build some features or some components, and it was giving me results that actually worked. Then further, as I started working more with, I got very excited, and I was trying different things. Then I kind of caught myself that I was interacting with the model, with Claude, with this Sonnet 3.5, pretty much in the same way that I would be interacting with my mid and junior developers. I would be asking it to do things. I would be reviewing its code. I would be asking it to do some revisions on the code that it just made, trying to us to use this technique, try to use this approach. And very quickly, I came to the realization that I actually don't need the coders, because I can achieve better results with the model, because I know exactly what I need, and I'm able to see if I'm getting what I need from the model. And this round trip time is much quicker. And the results that I was getting from the model were very, very comparable to the results that I was getting from the coder. So they came to the realization, okay, the job of a coder, so purely taking some assignment from the project manager, build this and this feature to the specifications and create a code that would implement that specification. That job is gone. And well, that started the kind of line of thoughts. Okay, what will happen with the software industry? Will the software write itself? Will the software exist? So the next thing in that kind of discovery process was my article about the future of software in March this year, where I tried to imagine where all of this is going and if the software is needed at all. And you can look at this article and at my ideas there. I will not take too much time on this, but basically the thinking is that when how the traditional software works. An engineer needs to understand the problem, it needs to come up with a solution, and then the engineer needs to code that solution, this algorithm, as a program, and then the program would be able to repeat that algorithm with different input, right? And that's what traditional software is. But because AI is actually capable to solve the problems without having an algorithm, figuring things out on the fly, then potentially you may not even need to have a program. You can just have AI doing whatever it's magic doing on the fly to solve your problems. And one example, if you remember, there was like one shiny thing, Rabbit.AI, when they would say it was large action models, where you would have a device, and instead of having apps on this device, you would just tell this device what you need. You say, like, I would like to have, I would like to go to the movies tonight, and what it would do theoretically, it would tell you which movies are available, then it would book a ticket for you, and then would call an Uber for you, right? And then the job is done. So you don't need to have a movie app, you don't need to have an Uber app, and all of those apps are just replaced with the AI. So that's obviously we're not quite there yet, but that's the promise of agentic AI. Now, on the other hand, here you see a screenshot of the game of Doom. And what's interesting about this is that there is actually this is not a software. This is just a model, a neural net that takes the user input as its input, and it generates an image in return. It generates a virtual reality. So there is no program here, right? The model understands which buttons you push, and based on your input, it calculates your positions, and it creates this imagery on the fly. It is not programmed, right? So theoretically, we can come to a place in time where there will be no need for software because everything will be just on the fly by the model. Well, it looks like it's not going to be the case. There are two factors that probably will prevent that from happening. First is that the algorithmic software is deterministic. So it means that the algorithm will always run the same way. Their models, they work with probabilities. So sometimes 4 plus 4, most of the times is 8, but sometimes it's 8.1, right? And depending on their application, you might not want to have that flexibility, right? So we still will need to have some algorithmic software. And another factor, of course, is the cost. Because when you have this algorithmic software, it's using way less of the compute power in order to run this linear algorithm to reach the result than the model this large model that would be taking a lot of GPU. So it looks like the traditional software is not going away. However, and that's how I think we should see that AI, or really LLMs, is more of a co-intelligence rather than a computer that we are using. And you will see the example or kind of confirmation of that with the latest development from Anthropic, where Claude can use your computer for you, right? So it's not Claude, the computer that we are using, like we use the computer. It's Claude, something that is co-using, co-building software for us, co-using our computer, and actually becoming some kind of co-intelligence. So that part about my research, if there's going to be software at all in the future, it looks like for a while there will be. Now, as I mentioned, we've been a rapid software development company. And why do you need to have rapid software development, and what does it actually mean? When I look at any software development and I try to say, okay, what is the KPI to say if the team or a company or a project is actually functioning properly, where the software development is done correctly. Because, you know, we always have this idea, you can do something like quick and dirty, or you can build something for a very long time and have an amazing results, but it will be very expensive and will take a very long time. And it's either this or that, right? There's like two parts of the two sides of the spectrum. And in my opinion, the only thing that matters with the software development is productivity. And productivity is actually, it's a combination of both, because you don't want to over-engineer things. And if you're building something that is so amazingly reliable and can cover all your edge cases, but you never finish it, obviously this is not good, right? If you cut too many corners and you create a lot of technical debt, you might achieve your today's goal, but you will have way more problems to solve tomorrow. So that's also not good. So what actually matters is striking this balance where you can build things quickly that will not break tomorrow and that will continue answering to the demand of the customer, of the business, or of the problem domain, right? So this productivity, that how efficiently a team can solve a problem and to which extent. So the main cornerstone of the rapid software development is productivity. And what's interesting, we have discovered that in order to build software in weeks instead of months, we must have good code quality, because it's not quick and dirty versus very long and very good, right? Or very expensive. It has to be good at every step of the way, because if you don't produce good quality code, if you don't have clean architecture, if you make sure that you don't have technical debt and you don't use all these principles of the reliable software development, you will create the landmines for yourself for tomorrow. And for a project that only runs over a period of just a couple of weeks, I see what's happening with my screen share.
You can see it.
Okay. So if the project is only running over the course of a couple of weeks, if you create a technical debt today, you will actually run into this problem already tomorrow. So you will not even be able to finish the project. It's not something that you have to pay it sometime later. So these were all kind of the principles that we've been using when we were running our rapid software development company. And it's interesting that when AI became available in order to build software, I have discovered that all the principles that we had within our team, they still stayed very, very relevant if I want to build software with AI, or even more relevant, because even though AI increases your productivity, if you use it in an incorrect way, you will actually end up with creating a lot of bad code much quicker than if you would be building this bad code with the regular software development team. And then obviously, you know, you would create even bigger problems. And actually, this is one of the arguments of the software developers who are opposed to using AI for software development, because saying, okay, it's either not good enough, or it can get you into the rabbit hole of creating some subpar quality code that creates bigger problems that will take you even more time down the line to solve. And these arguments actually can be true. So now in the next part of the talk, I want to give you an example. I want to actually show you how we can be using AI to build a simple piece of software. And I will show you how to do it incorrectly, and then how to do it correctly, in my opinion, of course, right? And we will maybe try to understand what is possible with AI today and what are the kind of the limits of these possibilities. And before we go into some practical part, I would like to see if anybody has any questions. Okay, then.
Okay, keep going, Alexis.
So now I would like to make sure that you see the right screen, the right part of my screen. And that should be
Showcase blueprint. That one.
no. So I guess I need to share my whole desktop.
There you go.
Okay. So here you see my code editor, but I don't think the code editor is actually an important piece of the process. What is important is the actual AI, and we're going to be using Claude. And let's just imagine that we come into this from the point of view that you don't need to have a developer anymore, and whatever that in the very near future, whatever that you need to be built can be just done by AI. And what is now missing is the way how to deploy it, and even that is partially solved. And basically, that was my idea when I discovered, when I saw where this will all going in March. That's what I thought. I thought, like, where my company is no longer relevant, right? We don't need to have the software engineers. Anybody can open Claude and tell Claude what you need. And for this little demonstration, I'm actually going to pretend to be a layman who doesn't know much about programming, but I heard that Claude can build something for me, so I'm going to ask Claude to build me, let's say, create an online customer-facing chatbot that will answer questions about my company and create proposals to customers on the spot. So everybody wants that, right? We want to have a chatbot, to have automatic proposals, and if AI can do it for us, that would be amazing. So let's see what we get. As you can see, Claude doesn't have a problem with this question. It just says, okay, I'll help you create a chatbot, and it immediately starts coding. Interesting that it has chosen here to create a React component, right? So it has somehow determined that this chatbot has to be a web chatbot, and it has decided that it will use the React technology and React framework for it to build. And as you can see, you actually have a chatbot here. So let's see if it works. And well, unfortunately, it doesn't, right? So the first promise is actually very nice, and there is already a start. If I'm going to look into the code and I'm going to see what it actually has done. So yes, it has decided to use React, which I kind of agree. I think maybe, if I was doing this myself, I would probably ask a few more questions before deciding on technology. But React is actually quite good. But if I'm looking now in the code kind of does what we need, but there are so many red flags when I look into these components. Things are hard coded. That means that the services, the prices, everything is in the code instead of coming from the external data source, right? So it kind of, the outside looks good, but the content, it's not even working. So then you would say, okay, please connect this chatbot to an AI model and take price list from Google Sheets. again, no problem. I will modify this chatbot for you, and I will do what you ask. So when I look again as an architect, when I look inside of this code, it's not entirely wrong, right? So this is it's kind of thinking in the right direction, and it's asking me for my API key for Anthropic. I need to set it up. It's connecting it to the Google Sheets, right? And in theory, I should be able to copy paste these files into my project, right? And it might even work for a little bit, but this definitely will not scale, right? Because this is exactly the direction where all the software engineers will say, well, AI is not really working because it will create a lot of throwaway code for you, right? And there will be a lot of security holes. You will not be able to modify it, and it will grow in an incorrect way. And that's they are actually right about it, because this is what's happening. But does it mean that we cannot use AI for coding? No, it absolutely does not mean that. So what we need for Claude to build software for us efficiently and correctly, we need to make sure that Claude has the right context. So instead of having this very abstract prompt for creating an online customer-facing chatbot without telling the version of technology, Claude needs to know the architecture and what I call a blueprint, including the version of the React, including of the data model, etc., in order to write the good code. So what I would do in this case is that I would combine a bit of a traditional software development, this rapid software development, with the code generating capacities of Claude. And my workflow would look as follows. First of all, I would bootstrap a React app with the regular tools that a React developer would do. I would just create an empty React app. And you see, I have created one here. So this is something that when you ask React to create a placeholder for an app, that's what you will get. And if you want to see what this app does, right, you will have this empty React app. So now when we have the placeholder, I will use this tool which is called Claude Sync, and it will get this React code, the boilerplate, into Claude. So I will say, create a project for me in Claude. And just with one command like this, I will upload this boilerplate code into Claude. And here you will see that I have a new project, which is my AI chatbot. I have a project knowledge, which has all these files and the directories that were created by React. And now I have a really good foundation to start building my app. So now, for example, I could ask, modify logo to display a chatbot app icon. Let's see what it does. So here we go. What I then will do, I will copy paste this code into the logo. And here we go, right? We have a React app with our logo. The next thing that I will do, create a page that will be a chatbot with messages and message input. And again, probably this would take a little bit longer time. But in a real world scenario, I would give it a little bit more context. So now it has created an interface for me. And I would copy paste this into my app. Here we go. It's missing a component. So I'm also not really good at React. So what I will do then, I will again give this context to Claude. No, there's still a problem. Okay, but basically, if you go down this path, right? If you combine your understanding of the software, and again, I don't want to take time now trying to troubleshoot this example, but if we give the context to the AI instead of letting it run free, then we would be able to get a much better results. Unfortunately, I thought that we would be able to have a working app like this, but that's exactly the case when it's not didn't really work. So let me go back to my presentation.
Alex, a quick question.
Yes.
Have you used this, how to say, Claude.AI projects to integrate your, I'm putting the link in the chat though, to integrate your project? Or did you use something else?
Have I used, sorry,
Claude,
can you please ask it again?
have you used the Claude projects? There is a project feature in the Claude.
Yes, yes,
okay.
this is exactly what is happening now. So when you see here in the this tool which is called Cloud Sync Push, what it actually does, it synchronizes my code base with the projects in Claude.
Okay.
So when I open, and it gives me the link. So when I open this this link, it gives me it uploads my code into the project knowledge.
Yeah, understood.
Right, and I'm just actually I'm a little bit upset. It's trying to use some module that is not installed, so it actually that's what I thought. I actually would like to come to some point. Added one project, npm start. Yeah, so actually it does work. And as you see, React is not my primary language, but by understanding some basics of the programming, it has created a component for me. Like the same way I would just upload, re-upload this again into Claude. And then I would just say, ask it to modify things, and adding things component by component and understanding the architecture, I would end up with having fully functional React app. I see a hand. Carolina, do you have a question?
Hello, Alexis. As a matter of fact, I have a lot of questions about what you're showing. I'm not gonna start my video because I don't feel like it. Okay.
Okay.
So I would like to know to start how do you gather the context information to give it input to this project? Because this is a real-time modeling kind of thing. Like right now, you're like already giving input to the project by us being here in this moment. I'm correct with it?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
So that's as you can see, just a folder on my computer, right? I opened this code editor, and you can see this is the folder on my computer. It's just in my home directory. It's called Work AI Chatbot. I created this folder by bootstrapping React app, which is like start React app command. It has created some all standard files that any React app has. Then I'm using this script called Claude.sync. And the first thing that I have done, I have created a project. I'm going to create another one. It asked me a few questions. And what this thing did, it has created a project. As I mentioned, that's very important thing for coding. It's a kind of a knowledge base in the Claude.AI. After that, I'm running this command Claude sync push. And what this command does, it uploads all the files from my folder on my computer into the knowledge base of Claude. And it gives me the URL. So I open the URL. So when you see here, this is just a standard Claude. And it has opened the project AI chatbot that was created by my command line script. And in its project knowledge, it has all the standard files that were initially created by this React boilerplate generator command. Then after that, I can ask it to modify the existing files to add different components. And right away, I can copy paste it from here into my local file, into my local folder, and I can actually see the results here in the browser. So, for example, I could just say, what?
Hola. Hola. Hello. Hi. Hola. No?
Yes, no, so as you can see, it has created this, but I can ask it to make it more beautiful. So maybe reformat the the page to have a sidebar menu with chat and user settings. So now it will create a different layout for me. And again, going down this route, it's something that that's quite easy to do. But in the real project, the next thing that I would do, I would just see like, I could ask a developer to do this. And then the developer would come back to me and say like, okay, here is this component. And I will look at it and I will tell him, okay, well, this is good. But actually, so here we go. It create the preview. So again, I can copy paste it here. And once I save it, well, something didn't really work well. But as you can see, the app is actually created. So I can probably we have missed some tailwind components. And what I can do now, I can again push the code that I have into the project, and I will ask. I will say the layout does not look the way it's supposed to. And what I will do here, I will make a screenshot. And there are actually tools that can automate this for you as well. but I'm not a big fan of using those tools and having this automatically, because if we continue working on this project, very quickly you would realize that you would actually need to understand what Claude is offering you. Without this understanding, you would end up with a lot of unscalable code. But if you do understand, if you know how to code in React, then actually the results are really, really good. Do you have another question?
I do. What was a long-term vision for you to be involved in this project? What bring you to be involved in this project? What brought you? I said the word in another sense. What? But let me know if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure which project you're referring to, because we have the Claude project, and we have the WITI Talk project, and we have the AI software development project. Which project are you referring to?
How will you order those projects in terms of prioritization, and also in terms of one that address the other one? Which is the main one that embrace the other ones of those that you're talking about?
I'm not sure I'm understanding either, Caroline. He's sharing with us how to code projects using Claude.
Oh,
So
okay.
this is just an example that he's creating. And Alexis, I did have a question too, though, because Caroline, the Sparks sent for me their questions. When you're saving all those files in the project, do they stay forever? Like, I know some things we save in our projects within Claude or GPTs within OpenAI don't necessarily save for that long. Are you doing special, like if you pick this project back up in a week or two to create a chatbot for another client, would all of those things be saved or within Claude, or do you have to kind of save it offline?
Well, the thing is that the way I use the Claude project, they're kind of a throwaway things.
Okay, so you just
What
recreate them.
Yeah, because because the project knowledge that I have in Claude is basically the folder from my computer with the code that I have created.
Right.
Right. So the only thing that I care about is that here's my folder with my code. I push it with one command. I push it to Claude. It gives me the URL, and I have a chat window that allows me to work with this code and to build on top of this code and develop it. And of course, it works with any code, right? If I'm asked to look and modernize some legacy code and solve some problems, I can put this legacy code into Claude and ask Claude to help me understand what was created and understand what a certain piece of code is doing. So,
Wow.
so this is just couple of examples. I don't know, maybe they were a little bit on a more technical side. So I just want to put a little bit into context what you have just seen, right? So as AI is becoming a core intelligence, and AI is actually very good at coding language into the actual software code, so writing code. But what is important is that you give a correct context. And it's actually quite easy with the script that I just showed you. You can just give the context of a certain folder on your computer, and this is all that the AI will look at. And the thinking here is that you don't want AI to help you code, but you want to use it as your junior or mid programmer, and given it's like small enough assignments so it doesn't get lost. If you remember the first chat prompt that we gave to the AI is just build me a chatbot without any context, right? And of course it doesn't get you anywhere. But if you're able to create a blueprint and the architecture for the AI, and to make sure that you create small enough components for AI to understand, then the results of code on those components are actually just as good as you would get from a human. So if you understand these limitations, then of course this can 10x your productivity. The moment when you're trying to ask too much, or you're not giving enough context, or you give too much context, you end up with having attention issues. And attention issues is when if AI has too much context, it doesn't know which part of this code is important, where's a good code, where's a bad code, right? So you need to actually clearly give this context. Then the results are really great. So I know we are kind of short on time. Let me just wrap it up. The idea here that we use AI with the human in the loop. So I think the future for software development is when rather than having coders that specialize in certain computer languages, you will have subject domain expert like a CTO who understands the company and understands the business and understands the needs, and also understands the software architecture and the frameworks, and then able to drive the AI to get almost immediate results, to get this software written almost immediately. We could have finished this chatbot, including with the link to the Google Sheets and the Claude or ChatGPT. We could have finished it definitely within 1 day and deploy it and have it in production. So you don't really need to have a large software team, but everybody in your software team should be much closer to the end user, be almost like a product manager, and also be much closer to actual coding. And all these things in between are kind of becoming obsolete. Few takeaways that I have discovered for myself, that there are certain rabbit holes. If you are asking AI to build something for you, but you don't understand how it has to be built, most likely you will end up with the bad results. So if you don't understand what is that you need to be built or how it needs to be built, AI probably will not understand this either. But if you do, and it's just a matter of doing the job, you just don't want to do it yourself, then AI is your best friend. Well, obviously, rubbish in, rubbish out, that still is valid. The AI is not this magic bullet that will help you filter things out. And again, the bottom line of successful software development with AI is having exactly correct amount of context for each given prompt. If you can master this amount of context that you give AI to each given prompt, you can get amazing results. And usually when you don't, it's because either you don't give enough context or too much. Well, I think I'd like to wrap up with saying that for my company, for myself, I have decided that traditional software development, as we see now, will not really be here for a long time. So I think my business is now of being more of a fractional CTO, so understanding the company issues and then building software for the companies on the spot, and also training other software developers to, instead of being coders, to be problem solvers and work directly with the customer and understanding the problem, and then creating a final product without having to rely on the entire chain of like product managers, UI UX designers, DevOps engineers. We are all kind of consolidating this into a single engineer that is a product and a project manager that understands the problem domain and able to produce complete results in a very short period of time.
So Alexis, for those that may have been coders, or maybe some even just graduating now or learning Python, right, and things like that. So just if I'm hearing correctly, you'd recommend almost understanding the business more so they can use what their understanding from a technology standpoint, but really kind of act as more of this quasi project manager, customer success, or product manager, customer success person, right?
In fact, it is more complicated than that. You need to be both. Because it's not enough for you just to be a product and a customer success manager, because when you will be driving AI as it is today, you will not get good results. So you need to understand, you still need to understand the language, the concept of the clean architecture, the concept of not creating a technical debt, don't repeat yourself, modularity, all kind of things. So you need to understand what AI is doing in order to cover the technology side. But on the other hand, you also need to understand which problems you're solving, because right now, as AI increases your productivity, if you add other people in between, like a product manager or the project manager, it's now becoming very counterproductive. So I think for the win, we are going to be moving into a CTO-only company that understands the company, the business, but also understand the technology, and all the legwork is done by LLMs.
I think also the only developers that will remain is the ones who are coding the models. I mean, they will still be there using AI, but all the AI engineers, machine learning engineers, and so the data science, they especially the data people who are working with the data, their jobs are like they're gonna stay for longer, and probably you will see more and more those kind of roles. But kind of straight programming, those will be less and less.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay, Carolina, thank you. I think we're at time. But Alexis, amazing. We're going to continue this, right, through 2025 as things continue to evolve and change.
Yeah, and of course, the big question for me is when we're going to have another breakthrough with agentic AI, because obviously the next step would be somebody like me who has an opinion about how software needs to be built, who will understand this productivity and a rapid software development and a clean architecture thing. But I guess it could be just an agent which is driving other AI. So we're coming to this very philosophical domain to understand, okay, where these things of what is significant, what is important, what actually matters, not only in software development, but in all things, in order to determine how AI should be executing things. So very interesting to see what 2025 will bring in this regard. Thank you very much. Thank you, David, for this opportunity to talk. I hope I didn't end up with too much of the technical code gibberish and didn't get everybody bored, but you just now get an idea what the software development is going to look like in the next 12 months.
Yeah, it's all just starting. And I think as we see this evolution of whether this person's now called a product manager, or maybe there's new titles that come out of this, we'll make sure the community is supported in getting that information and the training. So thanks, Alexis. Thanks, everybody. AI Think Tank still twice a week. We'll be adding another one. We have our monthly AI session, and we'll make sure everybody's continuing to learn. Have a great day, everybody.
Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.